Hi everyone, my name is Brian Guay. This is really fun. I've really enjoyed seeing everyone's presentations. So I know that we're running a little bit tight on time, so I'm going to try to keep to my 10 minutes. Again, my name is Brian Guay. I interned at the Concord Coalition this summer, which was a really exciting place to intern, especially in the political climate that we're in right now. And so what I want to do with this time is talk a little bit about my research at the University of Richmond in the political science and psychology departments, talk about how that led me to my internship, and then how that internship really affected my research and is kind of growing it from here out. So this, again, is the Concord Coalition. It is a nonpartisan, non-political, nonpartisan, they're very political, nonpartisan, nonprofit political group based out of Washington, D.C. And they focus on fiscal responsibility. So you can see up there, that's the national debt. When the Concord Coalition was founded, $4 trillion. We're up to $16 trillion. That's of great concern to the Concord Coalition and was to me this summer. And the reason that I really am interested in the work of the Concord Coalition is because my psychology research deals with how we understand numbers like 4 trillion, these really big numbers. So this is a number line. So I'm just going to briefly explain how we understand numbers and then talk about how I'm going to go about trying to change that. So we see number lines a lot in elementary schools. That's a number line. That's a number line that's a lot more fun. And that's a number line with a lot of numbers on it. And what a lot of teachers will do is say, okay, class, where do you put the number 17? And these are elementary school classes. So you should be able to tell, oh, 17 is going somewhere around there. That gives the, I'm pretty good at math, that gives the teacher some understanding that the student knows that 17 is greater than 10, a little bit less than 20. Here's a more complicated number line. 0 to 1 billion. So bear with me for a minute. Since you all don't have laser pointers, I want to know where 1 million would go on the number line. So I give you a bunch of letters, and let's hear some alphabet soup. Can we hear a couple of them? Where would 1 million go? A. Any other ones? C. Anything else? A, C, D. Okay. All right, cool. So a lot of you are right on, and you represent about 40% of the population. The other 60 is doing it way out to the right. So if you break up the 1 billion into thousands, each thousand mark is 1 million. There's 1,000 millions in a billion. There's 1,000 billions in a trillion, and these numbers get huge. So I wanted to represent where a trillion would go on this number line, and I can't keep going, so I can't draw on the wall here. So if you kind of curve the number line over and head out, and you keep going and going and going, you're going to get to Marcus. And that is where the 2012 federal deficit was. It's a huge number. You keep going and going, and you get to where you pick up 64, and that's the national debt as of this afternoon. So these numbers are really big, and oftentimes we're not really understanding fully how large they are. Bringing this to the government shutdown that's happening right now, Congress is, well, I should say the House of Representatives is currently sitting under that dome, trying to figure out whether or not they want to continue pursuing cuts in the, well, they want to figure out whether or not they want to eliminate the medical device tax, which is basically a way of raising revenue under the Affordable Care Act to pay for giving everyone health care. And they're doing that by charging medical companies that produce prosthetic hips and knees and other medical equipment a little bit more money for all the new business that they're going to get when everyone else is on health care. They're also deciding whether or not to delay Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, for a year. And I'm going to focus a little bit on the medical device tax. That is going to raise $2.9 billion this year, and every year for about 10 years. And then we're not quite sure how much. But it's about $2.9 billion. And we're putting that in the context of a $3.8 trillion budget. So another way to represent these numbers without drawing a giant number line on the wall is to just look at percentages. 0.08% of the budget is what we're talking about here, and that might cause us to shut down tonight. I don't think we're going to. We might. CNBC published this today. I was really excited to see it because they obviously aired a lot. They said that 2.9 billion is about 0.08% of 3.8 billion. That's a typo, but oftentimes we have congressmen that are really misrepresenting these numbers. I don't think CNBC is trying to misrepresent themselves. It's pretty obvious. But we have politicians doing this a lot. And if you look at the New York Times correction page, you'll see a lot of these. So there's a fundamental issue here that we are really having a hard time understanding large numbers. And that's what I look at in my research, how we are understanding large numbers. So that brings me back to the Concord Coalition. Again, that big number up there has increased a lot, $16 trillion, 16.7 to be exact. And the Concord Coalition is looking at ways to responsibly, in a nonpartisan way, figure out how we can raise enough taxes and reduce enough spending so that we're actually spending what we have, not borrowing too much. So what I did at this internship to try to convince the public or educate the public, as to the issues that we're faced with right now. I wrote stories for the weekly newsletter, which is a lot more exciting than writing a paper for your professor, because this goes out to thousands of people, and it's really exciting. And basically, that involved looking at CBO reports, O&B reports, all these really complicated reports, and kind of condensing them into a way that people can understand. And we included numbers in there, but we had to be very careful not to include too many numbers, because as I just said, they confuse us. I also worked on educational exercises, which is what I want to spend the rest of my time talking about. Educational exercises are a great way to get people to understand all about the numbers and the issues that we're facing in Congress. So you can see over here, this is a group of people in a town hall meeting working on one of Concord Coalition's principles and priorities exercises. And basically what you do in principles and priorities, and some of you might have done this in class, some of our poli-sci faculty do this, is that you sit down at a table and you pretend that you're a congressman. And that can be fun, it can not be fun. But you have actual examples of spending options that you can either cut or you can continue. And you have the costs and the different options that you have under those specific options, so the sub-options that you have, the amount of spending you can do. You have a lot of information, a lot of really big numbers that we were just dealing with, and you tally them up, and at the end you say, oh, I just put us over the fiscal cliff, or oh, we're going to be able to pay our bills this month. So that's the Concord Coalition's exercise. This is CHECK, which was developed by the University of Michigan with the National Science Foundation. And this is a different kind of in-classroom exercise or in-voter meeting exercise. They use these everywhere. And what you do is instead of having a running checklist where you can see at the end, oh, I did really great, I saved the country, or I didn't do so well, we're screwed, you have a little wallet of stickers, and you are able to put on your little chart there how many stickers you want to spend on certain policies. So you have this running tally of how much money you have left in your wallet, how many more stickers you have left. There's no numbers in this. So in terms of my research, it's not that great. In terms of really understanding different policy options and how much they cost, it's a really effective tool. So what I just want to kind of wrap up with is how do we make voters more informed? How do we get them to understand these large numbers that I showed you earlier? And how do we get them to actually use that when they're deciding which congressman to vote for? So two things that we picked up from both of these exercises. One, they have to be interactive. You have to play the role of congressman or congresswoman. Two, throw in some large numbers, because the media, as we just saw, uses large numbers. We might as well use them too in our classrooms. Three, use actual information. The Concord Coalition gives you a giant packet. I was going to say binder. It's almost a binder. It's a large policy kit that you get, and it can be intimidating, but it's also just a small percentage of what Congress gets, so it's not a bad idea to look through it. And the big thing is that, again, we want this kind of visual wallet. We want to be able to say, look at our number line and say, oh, we are 0.08% of the way there. We better pull an all-nighter, we better keep going. So these are the kind of exercises that we're now testing in classrooms right now, and we're going to continue doing this with middle school classrooms actually next semester, and see whether or not we can increase people's political awareness and understanding, political literacy, if you say, about large numbers in politics. So, thank you very much.